Up next is Bob Helfrich, biking across Kansas Bad Bobby style. That's his nickname from his cycling friends. He's a well-known Hutchinson cyclist and bicycle race official. He's going to be talking about his 13-day, 962-mile adventure of biking across Kansas, not just once, but twice.
Thank you, Rick. Bicycling Across Kansas is an annual 8-day bicycle tour across the state of Kansas. The first BAK was in 1975. It served as a pretest to the Kansas section of the Bicentennial Trail to be sanctioned in 1976. The event is now limited to 800 riders who follow a designated route across the state. My first BAK was in 1989. I was in training for bicycle racing, so I rode 100 miles a day for 7.5 days. In 2014, I decided I would ride to the starting line and be picked up in Highland after 825 miles. Last year, I rode after BAK, completing 962 miles in 13 days. This is a Trek 520 touring bicycle. It is designed to carry heavy loads long distances. It is outfitted with bamboo fenders, 3 water bottles, a frame pack, a rear pack, and 2 rear panniers. The packs carry gear such as a rain jacket and phones that are always on the bike. This is the camping and sleeping gear that goes into one of the panniers. There is a clothesline and clothespins, a thermal rest sleeping pad, a summer weight sleeping bag, a tech sport bivy tent with poles, and an inflatable travel pillow. There is also a tent repair kit and several plastic bags. This is the personal gear that goes in the other pannier. There is a shower bag, personal hygiene items, sunscreen, and a flashlight. There are shorts, a shirt, and a hat to wear while off of the bike. All biking gear is laundered every day while showering. Cycling shoes are the only shoes I take. Day 1, Hutchinson to Kinsley or Spearville. I rode on US 50. I decided to go on to Spearville since I knew I could talk my brother out of a bed, bath, and a beer. Those last 19 miles were brutal. 100-degree heat index with a south wind. 114 miles overall. Day 2, Spearville to Copeland. This should be a piece of cake, only 58 miles. But the winds and the heat were back. I got to Copeland about 3 o'clock. I go into this beer joint and find that the Hutchinson News had published an article about me cycling to the starting line. They were excited that I was there, even wanted me to sign it. As I was leaving, a man came up and asked where I was staying. I said, behind the high school. He said, well, I am the marshal here. We will keep out a special lookout for you. Welcome to Copeland. It rained and hailed that night. Day 3, 66 miles from Copeland to Johnson City to join up with the BAK group. The storm last night produced a tailwind that blew me into Ulysses. By now I was getting a few honks and waves as I think people knew who I was. Into Johnson City at noon for lots of R&R. BAK starts in the host city and goes east. If you want to go border to border, you are on your own. So I head west 16 miles and find Colorado. I turn around and head to Lakin 67 miles away. This is a special part of Kansas with its rugged beauty of sagebrush and deep gullies. 80 miles from Lakin to Jetmore on US 156. This route takes us by the newly opened Horse Thief Reservoir. Eric Martin and I go north at Jetmore so he can finish his first century ride. He also was able to find a beer joint open on Sunday. Double amazing. Day 6, 45 miles from Jetmore to Larned. This route follows the Pawnee River into Fort Larned. The Pawnee Watershed District is the largest in the United States. It is also a route for the Santa Fe Trail in the 19th century. Fort Larned was interesting as it was my first visit. Day 7 was 62 miles from Larned to Sterling. We crossed the Arkansas River south of the Larned and rode in through Quivira Wildlife Refuge into Sterling. Kathy met me in Sterling with extra supplies and much needed company. We had our 39th anniversary while I was on the road. Day 8, 54 miles from Sterling to Gossel. This felt like home. I ride these roads all the time. We crossed on Avenue V to Inman, then through Mound Ridge to Gossel. My son's family took me to the Pizza Hut in Newton for a pizza buffet. I got my money's worth. Day 9, the 24 miles from Gossel to Marion put us on the edge of the Flint Hills. Big hills from here on out. The Symphony on the Plains was being set up in the Tallgrass Prairie Preserve north of Strong City. You can break the 45-mile-an-hour speed limit on K-177 going into Council Grove on a bicycle. Day 10, 82 miles from Council Grove to Baldwin City. This is the longest scheduled BAK day. The wind switched to the northeast and it was raining. 6 long, cold, and hilly hours later, I arrived at Baldwin City. I usually take a nap after the ride, and this one felt good. Day 11, BAK went east 43 miles to Lewisburg and the Missouri border. I went west back to Council Grove since I had to be home by Monday. I camped at Council Grove Lake. It was 75 degrees with a light breeze, and with the cedar trees, I thought I was in Colorado. Day 12, so much for Colorado. The weather today is 85 degrees with 20-mile-an-hour south wind. I was going to stay at the Marion Reservoir, but the forecast called for rain. So 6 more miles to the Country Haven Inn in Hillsboro. After a hot bath while it was pouring outside, I think I slept for 12 hours. Refreshed, I head for home, 52 miles to Hutchinson through McPherson. It was cold and drizzly and windy, but I didn't care. I was heading home. Someday I plan to ride to Washington, D.C. I have a sister who lives there. It's only 500 miles more. Bad Bobby. A couple of years ago, I was riding across Iowa on a ride called Ragbrai. This is a rolling party of 15,000 cyclists that begins at 8 a.m. I decided to do it Kansas style and ride 100 miles and then party. About halfway through Iowa, there was a guy handing this koozie out. I rode 7,500 miles that year and the name kind of stuck.